People think that entrepreneurship is all about the business.
That's not true. Absolutely not true. Once you know yourself, who you are, what do you want, what you already know within yourself, you will definitely be successful. That I guarantee you.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Personal Development for Entrepreneurs. I'm Ikram with my good friend and mentor, Dr. Venga. As usual, we've got an interesting topic to discuss today, and it's about perception. So today's topic is perception versus reality. Why you need to understand the difference. We often make decisions, we often feel things, we often get caught up in things that it's because of a lack of reality or facts at what we're looking at, it becomes a very entangled web that we catch ourselves in. And today with Dr. Venga, we're going to talk about how to see through this and why it's very important to separate fiction or perception from fact, and how it can improve your lives. Good evening, Dr. Venga.
Good evening, Ikram. Good evening. But actually, Ikram, you're right. The subject is so profound in the sense that this is a problem with humans, okay? Biggest problem with human is perception. Please remember, we don't know whether animals also have perception. Only in one experiment, they showed that the jewel beetle could not differentiate between a female jewel beetle and a beer bottle in the outback of Australia. It thought the beer bottle was the female beetle. That's nature. So, but was its perception, the beetle's perception? This experiment was done by some very big scientist, can't remember his name, but it was done some time ago. And what I'm saying is, but the human is all the time perception. They don't deal on facts because of the simple reason, Ikram, it's because of our frontal cortex and our neurocortex. It is developing, it's so fast and so quick, and therefore it is subject to interpretation. And the interpretation of what it does depends on our eyes, our ear, our nose, our mouth, and our hand touch. The feeding instrument is not as good as what is in this neurocortex. This is far more superior. So when the eye sees something, it doesn't give the actual what it sees into the brain, but actually before it gets into the brain, it gets interpreted by past experience for one thing, which is all our so-called experience and knowledge and all that past experience. Number one, impact on it, okay? What has happened. Number two is we make assumption, and those assumptions that we make already distort what we saw, because he is looking at it. Then there's the emotional component. Then we went into this emotional intelligence things and all that, remember? And then there's an expectation. This is a fact, the character of the individual, the education of the individual, and at that moment in time, his own emotional status, his culture, his faith. There's so many things that influences the eye, the ear, our smell, and our taste and touch. And this information that we see gets distorted and goes into the brain. And the brain is now interpreting all of that and then says, this is what it is. It's a perception. So perception is real and reality is perception. It's like this, knowing is being, or being is knowing. As a human, okay, knowing is being, or being is knowing. It's like that. An interpretation of what humans are. So we are caught up in a situation. And that perception is part of the problem. There are so many experiments, Ikram, that is being carried out by very eminent and very known scientists. The YouTube got plenty of that actual conversation. As one example, one very famous doctor in England, he made an artificial hand, put in front of the patient, took his left hand, took a sample of his left hand, and it's an artificial to put there. His actual real left hand, he put under the table, okay? And when someone took a knife and poked that artificial hand, he felt it. Perception. See, a lot of time we take decision on perception, not real. They are not factual. They are not the real thing that we see. We seem to, the human brain interprets everything.
Yep.
So the feeding mechanism is not so profound as it was when it was young. Therefore, our experience and what we have been through seem to come in front and distort the actual reality. As an example, I give you some example. You take this screen that we are talking, this computer screen we are dealing with, okay? Now, I talk and you just hear it, right?
Right.
But I am not a computer guy, Ikram, but there's a hell of a lot of mechanism that is behind the screen that is putting whatever I'm saying and the picture and all that together. And if I describe all that to you, you'll understand.
No.
It's called interface. The interface is becoming more and more and more powerful to help this human communicate with you, the computer. And you also have the computer, but this is what's coming out of it. In the case of human, our interface is the thing that we're using to interpret it and then, by the ways, survive through it. And many a time, it's not real. Example, Ikram. People see a movie and tears come out of their eyes. It's a movie, la, for God's sake. It's a movie, la. Why are you crying? Distorted reality. Because of your past experience. Because of so many there. So a lot of that distortion. You see, for instance, Ikram, while education is supposed to enlighten you or open your mind and all that, it depends on the type of education. In our country, our education is very bad. You know it and I know it, everybody knows it, okay? It's not to enlighten people. It is to control people. And those who get out of this country and then they go to other places, they begin to see things differently. They understand things differently. They then ask different questions or try to understand why we are doing what we are doing. So that's why the woke culture developed by the American university, including Harvard, has a great influence on the way people think. I mean, if I tell you Coca-Cola is the real thing, do you believe me?
No.
Do you believe me, Ikram?
No. Coca-Cola is not a real thing.
But you know what? It's the #1 product. So people believe in perception. You see advertising as an example. They say all sorts of things. And you know, most of the things that they say are really not true. And people still buy the product.
There was a very famous experiment that was done. I'm not sure if you are aware of it, but there was I think they put a $5 wine, a $50 wine, and a $150 wine, with one twist. The $150 wine was actually $50, and the $50 wine, the $50 wine was $150, and the $150 wine was put as the $50 wine, right? So they've got these wines and everyone's tasting it, and they've got some people who have been drinking wine for a long time. Everyone who tasted the $150 wine in the $50 bottle, right, said that that wine was inferior to the $50 wine in the $150 bottle. Because of perception, they were like, okay, this one is priced more expensive, so this is the better wine. It clouded the judgment of even people who have been drinking wine for a long time. And it was just the price tag.
You see, you just proved my point. So it depends on what the other person, the way the person receives the information. All of us have this problem. That's why they say, I will make a decision based on factual. I will not make a decision on some perception or some assumption.
We get caught all the time, Vinga, making decisions on perception. If you ask you sit in a meeting and you ask a colleague, for example, might tell you, I don't like that woman from the other side. Why don't you like her? Did you see how she looked at me? She had this funny look. There's no fact to it that, that this person has done anything wrong to the other person, but just perception. This person looked at me funny, she gave me these vibes. I was not feeling right, but have you fact checked this? No. And then there's an instant dislike for this other person. It causes problems in decision making, in relationships and all that. How do we avoid this?
Well, first and foremost, if you yourself as a person, very important that you must only take decision on factual basis. What are the facts, or what are the thing that is real? I mean, factual. Because I can give you an opinion and tell you all sorts of things, but it is not factual. I am using my opinion to convince you. Opinions must be left aside. You cannot make decision on opinion. You make assumption. Okay, what are your assumptions? On what basis you make that assumption? It must also be factual. It cannot be, I think, I feel, I this, I that. Cannot. It must be, you see, I'm using a word which are very simple to understand. Is it factual? Is it real? Have you seen it? You are making an assumption. What is your assumption based on? What? I give you an example, a simple example. For a very, very long time, Ikram, I could not understand where did water come from in the planet. Sorry to bring another subject in. See, like we know that in this entire space, Earth is the only one that has got water. That's why we are surviving. That's why nature is there. No other place in the universe has got a planet like Earth. We know that as a fact. I could never, I can understand oxygen. We had carbon dioxide in the beginning. It is some bacteria or an algae that took the sun and used the carbon dioxide and made it into oxygen. That algae or a microbe, or it could be even a bacteria that did it. It took the sun's energy, converted that energy from the sun, and converted carbon dioxide into oxygen. That's how we plant so many trees, because we breathe oxygen. That's why we became human, or living things begin to exist. You know this as a fact, isn't it, Ikram? Yeah. Algae or a boar. Now, in the same like manner, I always ask myself, you know, acacia tree. You've heard of acacia tree?
Yes, I have.
Why people always give example of acacia tree? It is the only tree. You see, the elephant can smell water 250 miles away or kilometers away. It can smell from its nose. Okay, that's why elephant can go without water for a couple of months or weeks, you know, but it'll know how to find water. All elephant knows this. But what the elephant knows is it looks for acacia tree. Where there is acacia tree, there will be water. How does it know? Because acacia tree has the longest root. Its root is longer than its height of a tree. It can be some 30, 40 feet, you know. It goes deep inside to look for water. That's why acacia grows everywhere in the world. Wherever there is water, it'll grow. Now, what I'm trying to tell you is this effect. But I could not understand how come our earth got so much of water until I read about it. It took some time to find out, and later they made a movie out of this. Is the fact that because of gravity and because of the sun and because of various things that happen in the space, okay, many big blocks, I mean big huge tons of whatever you call the space material came and hit on the earth. This Big Bang theory thing, you know, it hit on, and then this water was ice that came, you know, because in the space there's a lot of ice one. So it came, but they got stuck into the earth for quite a long while. Slowly and steadily, it began to come out, and that's how we have so much of water. That I understand how water came to. Like that, until I understand, I always said I do not know. But people will tell you all sorts of story, perception. That's why you must read factual. So in life, in your workplace, in your business area and all that, if you are not, as a CEO of a company, Ikram, if you cannot get factual, if it's not factual, you should never make a decision. Should never. Or if you make an assumption, tell me how you made the assumption. If it is not there, then you cannot make any form of decision. Prove it. You see, and Ikram, this is number one. But many a time you can make say a qualified assumption. You can based on certain things that are happening around the world, you can of course copy and all that. You can do that. But reality and perceptions are very near one another. Very, very close. And the fact of the matter is, one thing, Ikram, as one example, you are driving slowly. You are behind me. Will you get irritated?
I am driving slowly behind you.
Me. I am the one driving slowly.
You're driving slowly.
Yeah,
I might get irritated.
Irritated, right?
Yeah.
But if you knew that I was taking a person who's very sick and is dying or going to die, and that I cannot drive faster than the speed I'm driving, how would you feel?
Feel very differently. I would
see, suppose on the same time, I am driving the car, but in my car got Indian curry, several pots of curry. Okay, can I drive fast? Cannot, isn't it? So when I understand you a little bit more empathy towards what you are thinking, then I will change my perception, right? So a lot of people do not have this ability to feel the other person or to understand the other person. Why is he behaving that way? Now, it is a great effort, no? It must get there. And that's why it's important, especially people in the field of selling. You cannot just go to somebody and start to sell your product when the person sitting there, the loan to pay, this business has not failed, I have to bankruptcy, got to take, lots of things are going, and you want to sell your product to him. Will he buy?
No.
He won't. Unless, of course, you are the salesman selling, hey, I got people with a lot of money, they want to invest in your company. Then you are the right salesman, right or not? Am I correct or not?
Correct.
Suppose you're fighting a war and the war was being fought by sword and arrow and all that. And there was a salesman who came and said, hey, I sell guns. Will you say, can't you see I'm very busy? Or you'll invite the fellow immediately?
I'll invite him immediately.
Exact, factual. This I learned as a very young salesman, when I was shown this photograph. I'm busy fighting a war. And there was a salesman behind me trying to sell me a gun. And I said, I've got no time. My boss, the president of the company, presented that. I was very young at the time. Ever since that time, you know what? No matter how busy I am, if somebody has something to say, hey, is it factual? Where are we now? What is it we are doing now? And let's look at it and see what else can we do. You see, Ikram, the problem why people give you this perception as reality is because they have not done enough research. They don't know what's happening. Or worst of all, they hearsay or somebody talks something and then they take that information and come and try to make a decision. This is bad, Ikram, which I think somehow or other you have to get out of that. No? So why is it? Why are people like that? Because why? We always, okay, let me ask you this question, Ikram. Do you really believe the television network in the world?
Do I believe the television networks of the world? No.
You don't, isn't it? Because it's an opinion of one individual trying to convince you that what he is seeing is the right thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Correct or not? But people absorb that and they quote the television name and say, that's what it said. And then you say, have you checked the facts? If you have not checked the facts, how can you accept it? So people are absorbing things because of somebody said it or some famous name is saying it, and therefore that is a reality. You can see, no? For instance, our own election that we've been through now, no? Okay, we call ourselves a multiracial country, right? Do we understand one another? We don't. Ikram, don't even answer. We don't. We don't know how you think. We don't know how other people think. You don't even take the trouble to find out why they think the way they are thinking. If I think that the Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim is going to have an easy job, I'm an idiot. I'm a real idiot. Somebody should take a big stone and bang my head. It's not reality. But some people speak as if reality is out of that. So Ikram, in your work area, always, hey, is it factual? Is it your opinion? On what basis do you make your opinion? Do the research before you come to me. Otherwise, they waste your time and do the wrong thing. In fact, when people come and, oh, these people can buy this and they can take so much and all the rest of it, I say, okay, show me the facts. Show me the facts. How is it possible? Yes, Ikram, you're saying?
No, you said show me the facts, and that's, I feel, yeah, I was agreeing to it. That's important.
You understand, huh, Ikram? But the problem is a lot of people with perception, but they view that as reality. And because such a book is written on it, but that book is a book. How can it be? We are in the today's century, modern world, right? When people are like the video I sent to you, no? The universe is not real. They got a Nobel Prize. You tell me, is that perception or is that real?
But what they're saying seems to be based on facts.
Yeah, exactly. Because they prove that the whole thing, if you want to see, you will see. If you don't want to see, you will never see. So I go back to my simple thing, lah. ASK. Ask. ASK, ask, right? Ask and it shall be given. Okay? Seek and you will find. Knock and it shall be open. So it's up to you to ask, to seek, to knock. So you as a person must ask yourself, is this real? Is this factual? It's like me looking at this. You see, suppose between you and me, Ikram, we draw in such a way, facing you and me, a figure 6 from my side. I draw 6. When you look at it, you will see 9. When I look at it, I'll see 6. Correct or not, Ikram?
Yep.
From my point of view, it is 6. From your point of view, is 9. Who is right and who's wrong?
No one's
both are right, right?
Both are right, yeah.
Both are wrong and both are right, right?
Correct.
But that is the world we live in. Why? Because I don't understand you, or I don't even pay empathy to what you are thinking or the background that you have. And I take my reality and say, this is the reality. And that's what happened. But by the way, Ikram, it has been happening from the day of Mahabharata, when the Bhagavad Gita was written, when Duryodhana said to Krishna, I know right and wrong, but I know it is the right thing to do, but I won't do it. See, this is human, no? Because most of the time, we really do not know factually it's correct or it is right. We just do it, no? So there's no answer to that. But perception exists, Ikram. Perception exists, and we got to deal with it. Now, you know, I don't think it is something that you can talk in the next 10 or 15 minutes and go away with it. There's none, no? But the question is, can we improve it? Answer is yes. Answer is terribly yes. Everything that you see, you must ask yourself, is this really real? Is this information I'm receiving, is it really real? And more so nowadays, everything is fake news, social media,
yeah.
You know, WhatsApp and what people talk and people say, is it really true, Ikram? In fact, when I saw an ad a few days ago, I was flabbergasted. They are selling a drug on television now called vitamin B1, B6, B12 with a name on it, you know, Ikram. I started taking that tablet when I was 21 years old. I take it even today. But did it solve my problem? No lah. It just is keeping me going lah, no? I need vitamin B1, B6, B12. Okay, but I also can get from other source. I even take B12 injections. So, but they sell it as if this is it. Okay, but perception, they're building a perception. And they put an actor, old person to talk about it. And if you test it, it's not true. It will not be true. So unless you test the assumption given to you and see it for real, you will never ever know whether it is really like that or not, Lana. But making assumption, is very easy. But why do we make that assumption? Because we want answer. We dare not say, I don't know. But we want to give you an answer. We want to feed you false information. And people like false information. And that's why we're getting on. In this world, everybody is telling not the truth, and they get away doing it. Because why? Because you like to hear things which are not factual, which are very emotional. This is why our neurocortex is being influenced, our brain is being influenced by things that is not real. And therefore, when we make a decision, we're not real either, Lana. So what do? Pay attention to everything, Lana. I can use another big word called become conscious of it, Lana. Okay, but pay attention, and maybe you understand it much better. Pay attention to all of this. Is it really true? Everybody tells you a story. Is the story true? Or was it a story that is being given to you by the fourth time you are hearing it from four different people, and then you're forming your own conclusion? Which is which now? Again, perception means it's an interpretation of the brain based on what you smell, taste, okay, see, hear, and then you form a conclusion. You understand, Ikram?
Yeah.
Okay. Ikram, this is a subject even the scientists are having issues, because the more we go, the more we develop, the more we begin to understand, the more we see that many of the things in the past is not real. As an example, Lana, 300 years ago, the world was flat, right? Based on what? Based on the ocean, right? They saw the ocean being flat, they said it's flat.
Perception, lah. They just
Exactly.
perceived it wrongly. Yeah.
Correct. Now, therefore, but Ikram, I'm telling you this, okay? A lot of things, people make decisions based on their perception, which is not real. And unless you are a clever CEO, you can't survive through this, okay? That's why knowing something and being that is two different things. You think you know, and then you use the word believe. Then you say, oh, so-and-so wrote about it. If so-and-so wrote about it, so is that factual? He wrote it for a certain reason. Is it factual? So we need to ask ourselves, hey, is it really real? But the relationship between perception and reality, it seems to be so close. Especially when people tell the story, in a very nice, they put the ear, the nose. Can you remember, Ikram, that many times you tell the same story, but when you tell the story, every time it gets distorted. Have you ever been through that?
Yep.
Why? Why is it like that? We are distorting it, isn't it? So who is to be blamed now? It is me, the receiver, that is to be blamed, or is it me that listens to somebody else, that somebody else is to be blamed? I think it's me, no? I must clarify that. Is it real? Is this really a pencil or is it wood? I must ask myself that question. Huh? So many a time, many a time, we form conclusion based on perception, which is totally wrong. Huh?
So,
I know.
Venga, we've got a few more minutes only before we wrap up. I think this is a subject that we may want to do a second part on to go a bit more detail into. For now, in this episode, what would your advice be to all those entrepreneurs out there who are making decisions every day and not realizing that most of those decisions are based on perception and not facts?
Yes. First of all, as I told you just now, if it is not factual, if you cannot prove it, or if you cannot even see it yourself, and if you do not take the trouble to find out the reality of it, don't blame anybody else, blame yourself. You need to check. You must check the facts. If you don't fact check, you are to be blamed, nobody else. Unfortunately, this is the most difficult thing to do. You need to fact check it. Or there are examples of such a thing that has happened before. Like if I tell you, I do not know when there will be a tsunami. Factually, nobody can tell. I cannot tell you when a volcano will erupt because factually nobody can. Correct or not?
Correct.
So there are many things that you cannot factually check. Okay. Only thing is you can say maybe, no? But don't say definitely will. No? But in business, you need to look at factually. So, oh, you know, boss, this product, your millions of people are wanting it. No? I only ask you to order 1,000. No? Show me the proof that 100 of them want to buy. Then I'll order 1,000. Simple as that. Check your facts. Check your facts. I tell some, you're dealing with salespeople, I tell you, Ikram, if I told one of the salesperson, if you don't see physically 3 customers a day, 3 customers a day, if you don't factually see it until you reach the stage, you will not succeed. Factual. All these telephone call, all that's non-factual. You must go and see the person. My name is Venga. I am selling or doing this. Can I be of help to you? And the answer says, the person says, no, that's 1 call. But you must make 3. So none of this, I wrote an email and, you know, I WhatsApped him and on the phone and all, that's not selling. That is part of a selling process. But you must see the customer. Then only you can sell. Yes or no, Ikram?
Absolutely agree. Completely agree.
You don't see, then you're not giving, you're not dealing with facts. And then I tried to sell a big system for somebody who just needs a computer. They need one of these simple laptop. Am I fooling myself or not?
Yes.
See, that's the kind of thing that you get, okay? So yeah, I agree with you, Ikram. This is a very big subject. Okay, perhaps, but the problem is that most of the time, we harm ourselves. We are sort of a thing is tied to our nose and we are led, and then we don't even know we're being led, no? By people. So because we don't want to check the facts, and we believe in what people are saying. I don't anymore, no. I have done mistakes based on belief. Oh, we can do this, we can do that. All that nonsense I've stopped. Show me a plan. Show me this. Show me how. Okay.
Right.
That's what
So
I
it's
do.
important. Your advice is that to everyone out there is fact check. Place a lot of importance on facts. Ask as much as you can. Sanitize the information that's coming to you. Right?
Exactly.
Okay. Thank you, Vinga. We've got to stop. We've come to the end of our time for this segment. That's the end of personal development of entrepreneurs for us this week. It was very insightful, fact versus perception. It's something that I think we should go in detail in the following personal development for entrepreneur episodes. The next episode is happening on January 4th. It's the first Wednesday of the month, as usual, at 8 p.m.
Okay.
Till then,
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.